Introducing the remarkable archetype, the dangerous gentleman. With a demeanor that commands respect and a hint of potency, he embodies strength tempered by virtue. Though his capabilities could veer towards danger, he channels his power for noble causes, serving others and safeguarding those in need. Rooted in a profound love for both God and humanity, he navigates life with discipline and purpose. In his presence, one witnesses the harmonious blend of power and benevolence, a testament to the true essence of masculinity. Step into the world of the dangerous gentleman, where strength is wielded for righteousness, and discover a captivating embodiment of honor and valor.
Greetings and welcome to Storytime with the Dangerous Gentleman. Yes, I am the Dangerous Gentleman. No, I did not give myself that nickname, but I certainly did earn it. Have you ever had one of those friends that just, maybe they're in your life for a short period of time, maybe they're in your life for a long period of time, but they just have such a remarkable impact on you, and they give you some of the best advice, and it has a major impact on your life? Well, that's the story I'm going to tell today. Actually harkens back to a time much earlier in my life. I was in my teen years, and so I was riding in the car with my cousin, who was significantly older than me. We were visiting in Wisconsin, and we were going somewhere with my cousin, and for some reason, he gave this piece of advice, and it seemed random at the time. Little did I know, 30 years later, it would come in handy. Anyway, what he told me was, find a woman, whether that be a friend or a girlfriend or something like that, and build a relationship with them, but make sure they're not your girlfriend. His context was that he had a female roommate, and she used to do a lot of the cooking and cleaning, not because he asked her, but because it was just kind of her natural tendency. And that's not me saying anything about necessarily the roles of men and women, but he was just saying her natural tendency was to kind of take care of him, and there was no romantic feelings. And for me, at the time, at the age that I was a teenager, raging hormones and all that stuff. It just didn't make sense. Well, fast forward to when I moved to Yakima. And at the time, I was attending a lot of NA meetings. A lot. Every single day I was going to meetings, at least one, sometimes two. My life was just all ate up. I was not looking good. I was consumed by past mistakes and failures. I was freshly out of addiction and all that kind of stuff. And I used to go to meetings, and when I chose to share, it was always about my ex-wife. And it was, my ex-wife did this and my ex-wife did that. And I would moan and cry and blame her for things. It was almost like I was obsessed. Because I was. Well, anyway, a couple months into me being here in Yakima and attending meetings on a regular basis, there was this girl who showed up. Now, there were girls that showed up all the time, right? But for whatever reason, this girl caught my eye, and I liked her personality. She was stinking cute, too. And we were both new to the program, and she was new to Yakima, so we were new in town. And I kind of had the idea that maybe I'm not even divorced yet, right? I'm still in the process of filing for divorce, but I was thinking, hey, maybe this is a rebound or whatever, right? And so I kind of befriended her, got to know her a little bit. We started to hang out some. I had intentions that I would maybe ask her out or something. Well, she had no thoughts like that towards me at all. As a matter of fact, she had thoughts about that, about another guy in the program. And she used to talk to me about this other guy. And I'm sitting there going, okay, all right. Eventually I got the picture that she wasn't into me. And I was able to kind of push past those thoughts and be able to just actually focus on a friendship. And I started to remember, this is what my cousin, his name was Eric, by the way. My cousin Eric was telling me that having a female friend that you are not romantically interested in, what that can do for you. She gave me advice. She gave me the advice from a woman's perspective. And so she didn't have a car. So I used to often pick her up and take her to meetings, or I'd pick her up and we'd go to church, or I'd pick her up and we'd go shopping. And we'd be driving around in the car and I would start talking. And one day she said, Andrew, you are not allowed to talk if you're going to talk about your ex. And I was like, I don't talk about my ex. And she said, yeah, you do. You talk about your ex all the time. And so here's the rules. If you start talking and you start talking about your ex, you have to not say a word for 5 minutes. And I was like, easy, easy. I never talk about her. And then the next thing I said was about my ex. And she said, 5 minutes. And so I had to sit there and be quiet and let her talk or do whatever. And then the next time I had the opportunity to talk, guess what I talked about? I talked about my ex. And she said, 5 minutes. So I wasn't allowed to talk again. And what that did was it did two things. Number one, it brought awareness to my mind of how much I actually talked about my ex. And it made me conscious and intentional about not dwelling on that and actually allowing my thoughts to think of other things. And it was about a week of her consistently, because back in the day, my life just wasn't that full. I didn't have that much going on. I didn't have that many friends. So we hung out in some capacity almost every day for an hour or two. And it took about a week or two of her constantly reminding, hey, you're talking about your ex again. And I'd be like, damn it. I'd be quiet. And then I'd start to talk again and she'd be like, up. You're talking about your ex again. And I'd have to be quiet. So like I said, it did two things. First of all, it brought awareness to my mind of how much I was consumed and obsessed with my ex. The other thing it did is that it helped free up my mind to start thinking about other things, because I had to consciously not talk about the thing that was on my mind the most. And eventually that thing that was on my mind the most started to move to the back of my mind. And it wasn't right in front of me all the time. And I started to realize that I could have a conversation and not bring up all the terribleness and all the crap that my ex had done to me or that other people had done to me. And I could actually carry on a real conversation with a girl who was not my girlfriend and that I had no romantic interests in, because eventually I did get to the point where I had no romantic interest when she started to come to me and talk to me about her relationship issues and the guys that she was dating. I was just like, okay, I'm a good friend. Not in a friend zone kind of way, not in a negative friend zone kind of way, but she needed a guy friend who was not a boyfriend. Like I needed a girl who was a friend, but not a girlfriend, not a romantic interest. We used to refer to each other as we were partners in crime. And that's what I was in her phone. It was P.I.C, partner in crime. And when I would call her or text her, that was the name that would come up. We didn't go get in trouble. We didn't go do stupid stuff, but we just go have fun. We started to go shopping together. Like I was starting to figure myself out. Now that I was kind of breaking through my obsession with my ex, I started to realize that there was so much more to life. And we used to go shopping. And so I would, and I know it sounds weird, but like I said, it was just amazing because we would go shopping. I would be shopping for clothes. She would be shopping for clothes. But she helped me because like I was so used to the idea of just buying whatever was on sale, whatever fit and whatever I could afford. And I remember shopping for something one time and she was like, is that really what you want? I'm like, no, but I can afford it and it fits. She's like, well then wait, hold off on it. I'm like, really? I can do that? Because I was so used to the idea of just settling for whatever. And then I would try something else and she'd be like, do you really like it? And I'm like, no, not really, but it fits and I can afford it. Just wait. And then I would try something on and I won't come out and I'd be like, she could tell that I was vibing on whatever it was. And she's like, now that looks good. And I'd be like, and I feel good in it. Then you should buy that. You don't have to settle for that other stuff just because it fits, just because you can afford it, just because it's the cheapest thing, just because it covers up what you're ashamed of. Show off what you've got. Since that time, I've gotten in better shape, and so I actually look good in clothes. But that lesson that I learned from spending time with her, to not settle, and it started with not settling with the clothes that I was buying. And it went on to not settling for other things, for not settling for something that I didn't want, for that it wasn't what I was looking for. I didn't settle. I stopped just looking for what worked, and I started to look for what I really wanted. And that is a lesson. That is something that I carry over to this day. And I consider it to be one of the most valuable lessons that I have ever learned from any person. And I learned it from a girl who was not my girlfriend, who was helping me shop for clothes. If you're out there and you listen to this, Taya, you know who you are. She was a great friend. She gave me some really great advice. She helped me in so many ways to get over my ex by beating it into me how obsessed I was and how I didn't have to settle. I didn't have to settle for a life that was consumed by thoughts about my past. I didn't have to settle for my thoughts to be controlled by my ex, by something that had happened to me. I didn't have to settle for not taking charge. And I didn't have to settle for cheap baggy jeans. And I remember walking in one time, and I walked into Macy's, I believe it was, and there was a pair of pants. This is how I knew that I had learned this. I walked up to this pair of pants, and I didn't even look at the price tag. I went and I grabbed the pair that was my size. I went in, I tried it on, and it fit. And I didn't even look at the price until I went up to the cash register and they rung it up. And I didn't care how much it cost because it was exactly what I wanted. And it was my size and it made me happy. And since that day, that was the day when I realized, not only did it help me learn to not settle, the other thing that it did that's kind of cool is that it helped me on the road to really building and developing a sense of fashion. And so, since that time, people actually, it's weird because people come to me for fashion advice. Like, Andrew, you always look so well put together. That was just a side benefit. The big thing was learning not to settle. But the side benefit is that I actually kind of learned how to dress cool, how to look good, and to have strong fashion sense. And I do have to say that I do look pretty dang good most of the time. Not bragging. It's just kind of one of those fun side effects. So yeah, some of the best advice I got was from a girl who was not my girlfriend. And that piece of advice traced back to my cousin who said, Andrew, make a friend who you're not romantically interested in, who is a female, and then listen to what they have to say. They will steer you right. So cousin Eric, I appreciate your advice from all those years ago. You probably don't even remember telling me that, but it's been solid advice and it helped lead me to one of the best friends I had who taught me some really amazing things. So find a friend. I'm not telling you to do this if it's going to bother your significant other, but for me, find someone who can give you some solid advice. Maybe they're the opposite sex. For me, it was Taya, and she helped me get over my ex. She helped me learn not to settle, and she taught me how to dress good. So you never know when life-changing advice is going to come along. So keep your ears open, keep your mind open, be ready, be thankful, never settle. Thanks for letting me share my story. I appreciate all of you in my audience, and we will talk to you next time.
So if you like this content, please give it a rating, a review, and share it with your friends. Also, if you'd like to learn a little bit more about me and what I'm all about and what I can maybe do for you, check out my website at thedangerousgentleman.org. That's thedangerousgentleman.org. Thank you for listening.